Hello, it's Kim from Sixpenny Memories, and we are going to do block 3 of the Sixpenny Memories sew along. So block 3 is this block here, which is very straightforward to do, and we once again are doing it in 2 different sizes. So the size that you will need for the 12-inch block, or the fabrics you'll need, for these corners here, which is where the purple is, you would need 4 5-inch squares. And for this bit here, which is the white part, for the 12-inch block, you'll need a strip that is 2 3/4 inches wide and about 9.5 inches long. If you're doing the 9-inch block, then you'll need 4 squares that measure 4 inches. And for this strip here, it's 2 inches wide and about 7.5 inches long. Now, you could do this scrappy, and if you wanted to do it scrappy, what I would suggest you do is make yourself a 5-inch template for the 12-inch block, cut the square in half, which is what we're going to do, and then you could just use that triangle to do completely different colours. The block is really versatile. It gives that lovely butterfly effect, but you can actually play around with these blocks, and you could have all the white going into the centre if you wanted to. And I do think that this would be great as a signature block, or you could do some embroidery, so really go to town on your quilting, and it would make a lovely larger quilt. So how to make it. I'm going to do the larger one. So you're going to get your 2 squares. So you're going to get your square. Now, I used actually a layer cake square, which I've got one here, which is a 10-inch square. And I cut that into 4. So that yielded 4 5-inch squares. Or you could just use the Moda charm packs. And you will just then peel them off your charm pack and start and use them, because they are 5 inches square. Once you've got your square, you're going to cut them in half on the diagonal. So then you will end up having 2 squares that look like this, okay? And the first thing you're going to do is, I'm just going to angle this down a little bit, see if this works, because you don't need to be seeing me. Oh, how marvellous. Is you are going to fold this in half like that and just finger press it. So you'll find the centre of that one there. So can you see you've got the centre? And we'll do exactly the same. I'll get rid of these because I'm going to make a quilt. I'm actually thinking that I'm going to do a little quilt or a cushion for my grandchildren, and then I've finger pressed that one. Now with your strip, what you're going to do is you're going to take your strip, and once again, I've got the strip here, I'm just going to cut this in half, just using the Primlove scissors that I have, because I've cut them to length. I just hadn't cut those in half. And again, all I'm going to do is finger press it lightly so it's on both sides. So can you see you've got both sides there? And then I will be able to know where the centre of this white strip is and the centre of my triangles. And I'm going to place them so that they're right sides together, so that the finger press creases match. And I'm going to pop a pin in that side there. So I'll pop a pin in the centre so it'll not wriggle off. And you just want to treat these edges here with some respect, because they're on the bias. So that means they're the stretchiest part of the fabric. And the stretchiest part of the fabric would mean it would distort very easily. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. And you can see I've got all my mess here. And we're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch. Let's get this in so we can see. I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch along this edge here. So we'll pop that in there like that. Straighten that up because I'm actually not using my foot control, and I've just squidged that off. Now, people were asking on the Facebook, if you're using a charm pack, layer cake, jelly roll strips, then the top of the pinked edges are the edge of your fabric. Okay, so can you see I've sewn along that edge there? I'm going to pop those pins out. I'm going to flip this over here, and then what I'm going to do is the other triangle that I finger pressed, I'm going to pop that so it's in the centre of that strip there. And again, I'm going to pop in a pin, and I'm using, if anybody's interested, the pins which are the Primlove magnetic pin cushion, and these are Murano glass-headed pins, and it means if I do hit them with the iron later on, it doesn't matter because they ain't going to melt. And once again, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and sew. Now, if you were doing all 4 blocks in one go for the whole block, or you were making more, then I would suggest you chain pieced, and that means just sew one after the other. So you'd sew all one side on and then sew all of the other side, and it would just make life a little bit easier and quicker. So remove the pins. Okay, let's pop that there. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to press this block, and I am in love with my wool pressing mat, and everything that I'm talking about is available on the Sixpenny Memories website, which is www.six-penny.com. So I've set the seam and I'm using the prim iron, and I'm just going to flick that back and give that a press, and then once again set the seam like that and press. Okay, so now we've got this press. That's lovely. So can you see that this part here is larger than this square here, and we're now going to square them up. So if you've got a square ruler, they're brilliant, because it just means that you don't have to think about it. Failing that, you could use your standard ruler, but what I'm going to do is the 45-degree angle. Can you see that okay? Can I just get that a bit further down? Yeah. The 45-degree angle on the ruler is going from that top, my top right, to my bottom left. And I'm going to just trim off these corners here. Just move my sewing machine out of the way. And I'm using the Prim Love rotary cutter, which is brilliant because the blade exposes when you put some pressure on it, and you don't actually have to cover it up, which is what we like. So I'll pop that there, and I'll pop that here. Now normally I'd have my rotating mat, but I'm not that organised today, so I'll just flip that around there, and we're going to do exactly the same again. We're just going to trim this top edge here, and as I say, I'm missing my rotating mat because I didn't get it out in time, and just trim up here, and there you have, just get that squared off there so it's nice. There you have a quarter of the main block finished. How quick was that? So what you're then going to do is you're going to do 4 blocks in total, and as I said to you before, it's entirely up to you how you place these out. So I'll pop this here so you can see that this is how I've done this block. But if I had all of the whites going into the centre, can you see you get a completely different design going there? It's entirely up to you whether you want to rotate those or whether you want them to be all the same. Once you've got 2 made, then decide on the orientation of the blocks, and then you are literally going to pop them together so that the right sides together, flip one on top of the other like that, and sew down this edge, and that'll create the top row, which is this top row. You'll do exactly the same for the bottom row, press them and then sew the 2 rows together, and you've got your block finished. So I do hope that you've enjoyed doing that. Now the next thing that I said I would do on this is to talk about quilt as you go. So once again, I'm going to show you how to prepare that. We're not going to actually start the quilting yet, but I'll show you how to prepare it for the next session. So I'm just going to angle this back down again. Now this is my finished block here, and the important thing about quilt as you go is that your backing and your wadding need to be at least 2 inches larger all the way around. So I'm just using the Moda Calico backing here, but you could use a really pretty backing, and I'm using the Vliseline 279 wadding here. And then can you see it's bigger? Mine is much bigger, a good 2 inches all of the way around here. Now the important thing to remember is that when you're quilting and when you're doing quilt as you go, ultimately we're going to join this layer together, we're going to join this layer together, which is the wadding, and then we are going to join the calico together. Now I always join this row, this top row, by sewing machine, and using the 1/4 inch seam allowance means that I don't want to quilt beyond that line there. So what I do is I am going to mark using my Prim marking pencil a 1/4 inch seam, a 1/4 inch line all the way down my block, and that will let me know that I am not to go and not to quilt beyond that. And I'm just using the pink lead that's in here, and whilst you might not be able to see it perfectly, I can see it here. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides, and what that'll mean is that as you're quilting, if you get carried away, you won't quilt beyond that line. Now, for quilting purposes, you could either use your walking foot on your sewing machine, you could use a free motion quilting foot and do some free motion quilting. This particular block would be a great way to play around with your stitches, those decorative stitches on the sewing machine. The rule of thumb, however, is that you need to make those stitches slightly longer because they are going through the top layer, the wadding and the calico. So I've marked that all the way around. Missed a little bit there, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so that is now all marked up. So can you see I have done a guide so I will be able to quilt. So as I'm quilting, if I was quilting this block here, I would only quilt up to that point and then I need to turn. This is going to be the line that those blocks are going to be joined when I do my next block together. So that is your preparing for your quilt as you go. If you want to go off and quilt that, I will be doing some tutorials on how to quilt onto YouTube later on. But go off and have a practice, and then the next stage I'll show you how to join these together. So I'll take this back up here so you can actually see me. So thank you very much for watching the Sixpenny Memories. Oh, I'll get my business card here. Oh gosh, I've got my nails. Thank you very much for watching Sixpenny Memories, which is me here. And the telephone number if you want to place an order is 07908 748 856, or if you visit our website, which is www.6six-penny.com. Until next time, thank you, bye bye.